Welcome to Department of Distance and Continuing Education, University of Delhi. Master of Business Administration, MBA, Semester 1, Core Course, MBA FT 6105, Marketing Management. Lesson 2, Marketing Environment. 2.1, Learning Objectives. After completing this lesson, you will be able to explain the marketing environment, state the meaning of marketing environment, gain knowledge about environmental monitoring, classify both microenvironment and macroenvironment, understand new marketing scenario in global marketing, explain the influences on organizational buying behavior, differentiate between organizational and consumer buying behavior. 2.2 Introduction. The environment is considered as the internal and external surroundings, circumstances, or factors that influence any individual, business, or economy. Understanding the environment for any individual or business helps to plan, formulate, and apply strategies and plans of action. The environment includes both micro and macro forces that influence the business or organization. So, understanding the environment is one of the important aspects, and it influences any business or organization in many ways. The marketing environment is the sum of both internal factors, customers, shareholders, retailers, employees, and distributors, and external factors, demographic, cultural, social, legal, economic, natural, and technological environment, as well as forces outside marketing that affect top-level management's capacity to establish and uphold successful relationships with its target customers. 2.3 Components of marketing environment. The marketing environment is made up of the internal and external environments of the company. The corporation has some control over its own environment, internal environment, but little or no control over the external environment. There are two components of the marketing environment. 2.3.1 Internal environment. 2.3.2 External environment. A. Microenvironment. B. Macroenvironment. 2.3.1 Internal environment. The internal environment of a firm includes all the internal forces and components that have an impact on its marketing operations. These elements can be categorized using the following. Men. All of the company's workers, both skilled and unskilled. Machines. The tools a company uses to speed up or complete processes are referred to as machines. Materials. The supplies or manufacturing parts that the business needs to complete the production procedures. 2.3.2 External environment. The factors and influences in the organization's external environment are those over which the marketer has little or no control. The external environment can be divided into two categories: macroenvironment and microenvironment. A. Microenvironment. The value delivery system of the company is made up of the forces and elements that are close to it and that affect its ability to serve its consumers, such as the firm, market channel companies, client marketplaces, competitors, and the general public. Corporate. When establishing a marketing plan, the marketing division must take into account the needs of other company divisions. Suppliers. Companies that supply the raw materials needed by a company or its competitors to produce goods or deliver services are known as suppliers. Marketing intermediaries. Organizations that help a company market, sell, and distribute its goods to customers. These corporations include companies that do physical distribution, marketing service providers, and financial intermediaries. Customers. The target market for the business is customers. An organization should be aware of the constantly changing needs of its customers and should keep on top of these needs by developing and implementing an effective information gathering system. Competition. The marketing theory states that in order to succeed, a business must outperform its competitors in terms of customer value and satisfaction. Public. The organization's microenvironment has a range of publics. The public is defined as any group that could really or hypothetically have an impact on how well a corporation can achieve its objectives. B. Macroenvironment. The larger social trends that affect the organization as a whole, in addition to its competitors and specific microenvironmental elements. It is also known as the environment in general. Since a marketing manager has no real control over these external, unpredictable effects, decisions are made with the macro environment in mind. He must therefore monitor the outside environment and make efforts to reduce the impact of these other events on his business. The following macro environment variables are categorized: demographical, social and cultural, legal, political, economic, technological. Demographic environment. Demographic environment. It is the study of human populations in terms of size, density, location, age, gender, race, occupation, and other statistics and characteristics. Marketers are always interested in population related growth indices because the eventual market growth rate in the long run largely depends on the growth of the population. Social and cultural environment. The social and cultural environment factors may be the most challenging for the marketing organization to assess out of all the components of the macro environment because these consumer preferences, buying habits, and priorities alter as a result of social and cultural development, and marketers need to comprehend and spot these shifting patterns. Legal environment. The legal climate has an impact on marketing choices as well. The legal system and how current laws are applied change frequently as a result of changes in the political climate. The legal setting determines how a company must behave in accordance with the law. Political environment. Political environment is one of the aspects of the marketing environment that is less predictable is the political climate. Political change can have an impact on a company's marketing. Thus, organizations need to regularly examine the shifting political landscape. The laws, institutions of government, etc., that have an impact on, constrain, and restrict various groups and individuals within a given society make up the political environment. Economic environment. The economic environment, which primarily refers to the level of demand in the economy and is the most obvious feature in the macro environment, has the greatest impact on marketing decisions. It comprises factors that influence consumer purchasing power and spending patterns. Technological environment. The forces that produce new technologies, opening new markets, and potential for products are probably most spectacular in the technological environment. Two processes influence technological change. It takes time for certain changes to develop, but certain technical developments are so significant and upsetting that they create a new pattern of consumption. 2.4 Features of the marketing environment. There are several features that define the marketing environment of today. These features are as follows. Specific and general forces. It refers to several elements affecting the marketing landscape. There are certain factors, such as those that directly affect the operations of an organization. Customers and investors are two examples of specialized forces. The forces that have an organization-wide impact are referred to as general forces. Technology, social, political, and legal issues are some examples of common forces. Complexity. It suggests that there are a variety of factors, circumstances, and implications in the marketing environment. The interaction between each of these components makes the marketing environment. Vibrancy. Liveliness indicates that the marketing environment is dynamic. The marketing environment is defined by a multitude of forces that are dynamic and change over time. While marketers may be able to influence some forces, they are unable to influence all. However, understanding the dynamic nature of the marketing environment can give marketers a chance to outperform competitors. Uncertainty. It suggests that market dynamics are inherently unpredictable. In order to strategize and update their plans, every marketer strives to anticipate market forces. Because changes are common, it might be difficult to predict some of them. To illustrate, shoppers' fashion preferences are constantly changing. The fashion industry is very insecure as a result. Depending on the trend, it can take a few days or years. Relativity. It explains the causes of the differences in demand between nations. Depending on the nation, location, or culture, the demand for a particular industry, organization, or product can change. For example, saris are in high demand because they are the traditional women's clothing of India. However, the demand for saris can be nil in any other Western nation. 2.5 Environmental Monitoring. The marketing landscape is dynamic and constantly changing. The dynamics that shape the marketing environment, whether changing gradually or rapidly, create uncertainty, challenges, and opportunities. To be ready to seize opportunities and mitigate adverse circumstances, marketers must constantly monitor the marketing environment. Marketing managers need to conduct environmental scans and analysis to efficiently track changes in the marketing environment. The endeavor to monitor changes in external variables that may affect markets and demand for a company's goods and services. Economic, social, demographic, political, legal, cultural, and technological pressures are some of the external forces typically considered. The fundamental objective of environmental monitoring is to control and reduce the impact of an organization's actions on the environment, either to ensure compliance with laws and regulations or to limit risks of adverse impacts on the natural environment and to preserve human health. 2.6 Global Marketing. The capacity of a company to market to nearly every nation on the earth is known as global marketing. A company's products or services are in high demand throughout a wide range of markets. The international corporation still has the capacity, reach, expertise, personnel, staff, skills, and knowledge to offer value to clients everywhere. The business understands the necessity of providing global standard solutions or products to local customers and localize those products as required to maintain an ideal balance between cost, effectiveness, versatility, and localization in a regulated full spectrum in order to best satisfy the community, national, and global requirements to position itself against or with competitors, partners, alliances, substitutes, and defend against new global and local market entrants per country. 2.6.1 Elements 4 P's of the global marketing. Global marketing is associated with global competitiveness, exporting, joint ventures, foreign direct investments, government relations, global human capital management, resource allocation, distributed technology development and management, global business logic, as well as the standard marketing approaches, strategies, tactics, and processes. The standard 4 P's of marketing: product, price, placement, and promotion are all affected as a company moves through the 5 evolutionary phases to become a global company. The 4 Ps of global marketing. Product. A worldwide corporation can develop a single product and just need to make minor adjustments for several regions. Coca-Cola, as an illustration, employs two formulas, one with sugar and the other with corn syrup for all markets. Every nation uses the dynamic ribbon and contour bottle design in the same capacity in their product packaging. The bottle is the same size as other beverage bottles or cans in that nation, but it may also incorporate the native tongue of that nation. Price. Markets will always have different prices. The cost of product development, whether domestically manufactured or imported, the cost of ingredients, the cost of delivery due to transportation, customs, etc., and many other factors all have an impact on price. The final profit margin is also influenced by the product's position in comparison to the competitors. The price point of a product is influenced by whether it is viewed as the high-end, pricey option, the cheap, affordable option, or something in between. Place. The target market's access to the competition affects each country's decision on the distribution of the product. Not all cultures employ vending machines, to use Coca-Cola as an example once more. Beverages are offered for sale by the pallet in the warehouse stores in the US. This is not a choice in India. The position of the product in the market must be taken into account when making placement selections. Promotion. In a multinational company's marketing budget, promotion is typically the biggest line item after product research, development, and production. A company's goal at this point in its development is integrated marketing. The multinational corporation aims to cut expenses, minimize work and human duplication, accelerate implementation, and speak with a single voice. If a multinational corporation wants to communicate the same message to all its customers, the problem is to do it in a way that is timely, interesting, and economical. 2.6.2 Advantages and Disadvantages of Global Marketing. Advantages. Global marketers has reduced marketing expenses. Global marketing companies are more strength and range in their products. Global market includes the ability to use advertising to introduce its product. Global marketing companies have consistent marketing techniques and brands. Global marketers have economies of scale in the manufacturing and distribution of its product. Global marketing encourages the establishment of ancillary industries to meet the needs of the global player. Disadvantages. Variations in consumer reaction to marketing mix components. Product placement varies depending on administrative practices. Global marketing policies may contradict domestic market laws. There may be variations in the administrative processes and product placement. Differences in product usage patterns and consumer demands, wants, and needs. Differences in the competitive environment, brand and product development, and legal climate. 2.7 Identifying market segments and selecting target markets. The size and diversity of the product market make it challenging for businesses to please every customer. Companies must define a specific consumer base within a market and endeavor to fulfill them. Market segment identification is this collection. Additionally, companies must comprehend the complexity of how this market behaves and functions. Target marketing is a strategy that is gaining popularity in which businesses identify market segments with comparable needs and wants, choose one of the market segments, and then concentrate on developing products and marketing strategies. The market segmentation task has to follow a scientific process. Number 1. The first task is to classify customers based on the goods and services they desire. Second, to define a market segment. The second stage is to assess the client by summarizing their demographic, lifestyle, and usage patterns. Third, the third duty is to do market research to assess growth potential, competition, and other elements. Fourth, assessing the profitability of a market segment is the fourth task. Fifth, positioning work for pricing and marketing initiatives is the fifth task. Sixth, to investigate various positioning and marketing tactics to fully examine the market. 2.7.1 Factors affecting market segmentation and target market. Market segmentation and target market are affected by a number of variables. Location factors. One such aspect is geography, which divides a nation into regions based on city, urban, rural, and climate. Population factor. Age, family size, gender, household income, life stage, occupation, education, religion, race, generation, and social class are used to segment the market demographically. Lifestyle and personality. Markets can be divided at the individual level according to attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions of products, as well as product awareness and consumption patterns. Operational segmentation. It is based on the type of technology, consumer preferences, and customer needs. 2.8 Consumer buying behavior. Consumer buying behavior is the popular term. It is the actions and behaviors of the consumers when he or she engage when making purchases and consuming goods. It is the term for the ultimate consumer's purchasing habits. Marketers must examine consumer behavior to develop the marketing concept, marketing mix, to anticipate consumer reactions to marketing tactics, to influences by how customers respond to in its marketing approach, to examine the what, where, when, and how consumers make purchases. 2.8.1 Type of consumer buying behavior. Consumer behavior largely depends on what type of goods the consumer would like to buy. As a result of the bigger risk, customers are more inclined to go to and do research on luxury items. However, when buying a cheap item, consumers behave very differently, but it's often a more hands-off purchase. Businesses should carry out consumer research to discover the purchasing habits of their customers. Type of consumer buying behavior. A. Complex buying behavior. B. Dissonance reducing buying behavior. C. Variety seeking buying behavior. D. Habitual buying behavior. A. Complex buying behavior. Complex buying alludes to a purchase situation in which the consumer is extensively involved in a decision-making process and needs to weigh a number of different factors before taking a good selection. These factors include price investment return, longevity, usefulness, reviews, and referrals. Customers must display complex buying behavior while making a highly involved purchase of a good for which there are numerous alternatives with different features, and high differences in the market. It is difficult since there is a great deal of risk. Additionally, the stark distinctions across brands necessitate a high level of customer interaction. Giving customer knowledge is the key to assisting them in this type of purchasing. Consider purchasing a home or a car. These are examples of complex purchasing behaviors. For instance, purchasing a home can include a considerable financial risk for the buyer. As a result, they will do the extensive market study before making a decision. To have an impact on consumers' purchasing behavior, marketers must assist in educating them throughout the discovery phase. B. Dissonance reducing buying behavior. Dissonance is defined as a disagreement of people's beliefs, acts, or characters in the dictionary. When a consumer makes a purchase, they are heavily involved in the decision making process and are unable to distinguish between the various options and brands on the market that can meet their needs. In a similar vein, worry after purchases can be understood as dissonance reducing buying. When there are little variations between brands and the purchase involves significant levels of involvement, this typically occurs. This sets it apart from complicated purchasing scenarios where there are several variations in the available options. The buyer is confused of the similarities between the various brands on the market that seem to be available for the same demand in this purchase situation. Even if the marketer chooses to differentiate on the basis of positioning, brand perception, consumer trust, or pricing, it is crucial to do so. Even after a purchase, the dissonance may persist, which is bad for the brand's reputation and its ability to elicit feedback for repeat business. C. Variety seeking buying behavior. Even when consumers say they are happy with their current brand, they nevertheless switch. Variety seeking is the motivation, and it is the most prevalent when there are lots of options that are similar, when brand loyalty is significant, and when purchases are made frequently. It can happen purely out of boredom with one's current brand of choice, or it can be sparked by outside cues like retail running out of stock or discounts that promote switching. Take chocolates as an example. The consumer selects a brand of chocolates without giving it much thought and reviews it as they eat it based on their beliefs about the chocolate. The customer may choose a different brand the next time in an attempt to satisfy a different taste. In this scenario, brand switching is undertaken for variety's benefit instead of out of disappointment. D. Habitual buying behavior. The term habitual buying refers to a customer's tendency to make several repeat purchases of a well known brand without exerting too much thought or effort. The product is viewed as a commodity and offers little differentiation from its competitors. Customers who engage in habitual purchasing behavior choose items they frequently purchase and don't give much thought to. Consumers' buying behaviors may also be explained by the fact that consumers stick with the goods they use the most and also don't search for alternatives. And it doesn't imply that the customer has fewer options and must make a decision regardless. Because the product doesn't differ much from the others, the buyer consistently chooses it without thinking about it. Habit purchasing is the term for repeated purchases. Additionally, the things they buy are inexpensive and safe to acquire. 2.8.2 Consumer Buying Process. In the standard consumer buying process, the buyer goes through 5 separate stages. First, stage of recognition of need. Emphasizes the necessity for a goods and services. Understanding the need for a service or product is the first stage in the decision-making process for consumers. Whether motivated internally or externally, need recognition yields the same outcome: a want. Consumers must first identify their wants before they can learn how to satisfy them, which brings us to step 2. But how can you inspire customers at this point? Focus your sales and marketing efforts on outward stimuli instead of internal stimulus, which originates from within and includes basic urges like hunger or a change in lifestyle. Second, stage of information search, collecting information about the product. Following the arousal of a need, the consumer's behavior directs them to gather information about various stimuli, or in this example, items and services from a variety of sources, individual, community, professional, interpersonal, for later processing and decision making. Consumers once more rely on internal and external influences as well as previous contacts with a product or brand, both favorable and unfavorable, while evaluating their options. They may explore possibilities in person or check online sources like Google or customer reviews during the information stage. Third, stage of evaluation of alternative compares choices to equivalent alternatives. A consumer moves on to the next step of evaluating alternatives once their interest in a product or products has been stimulated. Cognitive evaluation. When a customer makes a decision based on facts. Affective evaluation. Using affective factors to evaluate the options is known as affective assessment. Fourth, stage of purchase decision. Makes final purchase decision. The consumer ultimately decides to make a purchase. Purchase decisions can fall into one of the three categories: don't buy later, or buy now. Consumers who choose not to purchase reach the stage of problem recognition. Purchases may be delayed because of diminished motivation or changes in one's personal and financial circumstances. The consumer will buy if favorable sentiments are developed towards the selected option. Stage of post-purchase evaluation. Observes the purchase they had made. After committing to a product, a consumer's behavior is referred to as post-purchase behavior. Customer satisfaction, customer joy, and customer dissatisfaction are the three outcomes of post-purchase behavior. Buyer discomfort brought on by post-purchase conflict is known as cognitive dissonance. 2.8.3 Factors affecting consumer behavior. A. Advertising and marketing initiatives. Purchase decisions are significantly influenced by marketing initiatives. They can even encourage customers to switch brands or choose more expensive alternatives if done well, consistently, and with the right marketing message. B. Economic situation. Economic situations play a significant role, especially when it comes to pricey goods like houses or cars. Regardless of their financial obligations, customers are known to become more self-assured and prepared to indulge in purchases in a healthy economic environment. C. Individual choice and preferences. Personal characteristics like as preferences, values, morals, and priorities can also have an impact on how consumers behave. Personal views are extremely potent in sectors like fashion or food. D. Group influence. Additionally, peer pressure affects customer behavior. Our decisions may be significantly influenced by what our friends, neighbors, immediate family members, classmates, and acquaintances believe or do. E. Purchasing power. Not to mention our ability to buy things has a big impact on how we behave. You will think about your budget before making a purchase decision unless you are a billionaire. 2.9 Organizational buying behavior. According to Pett D. Bennett, organizational buying behavior is a process by which a buying group evaluates the needs for products and services and identifies, evaluates, and selects among alternative brands and suppliers. According to W. M. Pride and O. C. Farrell, the term organizational buying behavior refers to how producers, institutions, and government agencies buy things. Organization buying is the process through which formal organizations determine the demand for acquired goods and services, as well as the identification, assessment, and selection of alternative suppliers and brands. It is a series of intricate occurrences that are dependent on the firm's level of purchasing expertise. Organizational behavior describes the purchasing habits of businesses that purchase goods for internal use, resale, or to create additional goods. Businesses, industries, retailers, governmental bodies, and non governmental groups are examples of organizations. Organizational buying behavior is also called business or industrial behavior or B2B buying behavior. Some examples of organizational buying: flour by the bakery, chip by computer manufacturers. Large grocery chains routinely purchase goods directly from producers and resell them to final customers. 2.9.1 Nature of organizational buying. Every organization is unique. Organizational structures, cultures, beliefs, and resources vary among various organizations, as do their goals and resources. They consequently possess a different set of requirements and desires, as well as different purchasing behavior. There is a long time lag between efforts and results. Individual purchases require less time than commercial purchases to complete from the point of decision to the point of sale. This is a result of the additional formalities and procedures required during the organizational purchase decision. For instance, requesting quotes, assessing bids, creating bulk orders, etc. It is a rational as well as emotional activity. The involvement of humans in the purchasing process causes the emotional component of purchasing to arise. The amount of quality of a product may be chosen by an industrial buyer based on established organizational rules, but the dealer may be chosen based on the buyer's political or personal connection or prior interactions with the dealer. It is a formal activity. When purchasing from an organization, there is a formal contract between the parties. Making a purchase choice is a formal activity that calls for the buyer to adhere to policies and guidelines established by the business regarding the type, quality, quantity, conditions of payment, delivery date, etc. It is a multi-person activity. In a company, purchasing choices are typically made by a group of qualified employees, sometimes known as buying center, where each person has a certain duty to play. 2.9.2 Features of organizational buying behavior. The primary characteristics of organizational buying behavior are few buyers, close relationships between buyers and suppliers, rational buyers, direct channels, the adaptation of specific purchase policies created by the business organizations, etc. 1. Few buyers. Organizational buyers are limited in number because they are the organization themselves. However, they make massive purchases. Buyers from organizations are dispersed throughout the country. 2. Close relationship. Suppliers and buyers within organizations interact frequently. It might last for a while. Future purchases will benefit from such a relationship. In general, buyers and suppliers in organizations maintain close relationships. 3. Rational buyers. When buying for an organization, the buyer rationalizes. The buying process involves trained and experienced buyers. Thus, making a purchase becomes logical. 4. Direct channel. Organizational purchasers purchase items from producers directly because they purchase in large quantities. Thus, the marketing route is now direct. But some businesses use middlemen or agencies to purchase their items. 5. Purchase policy. Both organizations and individuals now use different purchasing strategies. An organization creates a certain purchasing policy and purchases products in accordance with the policy. The main purchasing strategies used by businesses include purchasing by quotation, buying through tender, buying through contract, etc. 2.9.3 Factors affecting organizational buyers' decision. Factors affecting institutional buying decision are as follows: environmental factors, organizational factors, interpersonal factors, personal factors, environmental factors. Environmental factors have a direct or indirect impact on the institutional elements that influence purchasing decisions. This covers obligations in the areas of economics, technology, politics, and the law, among others. Economic factors: demand intensity, the state of the economy, competitiveness, technological advancements, the trade cycle, etc., are all included. The demand for organizational products, which is linked to the demand for consumer goods, is impacted by changes in a market's overall economic conditions. Consequently, the demand for organizational products is likely to be impacted by any change in the economic situation of a nation that affect consumer demand. Technological factors: institutional purchasing and inventory management, the production process, distribution management, and other areas have changed as a result of technological factors, including the development of e-commerce, the development of information, and the development of the internet. Political and legal factors: political and legal variables may have an impact on institutions. Every corporation must function in accordance with national laws and regulations. Therefore, before purchasing goods and services, businesses should research the political system, political climate, political ideologies, and government policies. Social responsibilities: social responsibility influences organizational purchasing decisions as well. Institutions must take into account issues like environmental protection and addressing community needs. The business must take social welfare into account while purchasing goods and services. Organizational factors: organizational purchasing behavior is also influenced by organizational characteristics. The organizational buying is significantly influenced by the buying aim, policies, procedure, and organization. Buying objective: different organizations have various purchasing goals. Some businesses prioritize cheap prices above great quality, and other businesses prioritize high prices over high quality. Buying policies: some organizations have centralized purchasing policies, while others have decentralized purchasing policies. The selection of suppliers will be limited by the organization's purchasing practices that promote the fairness principle. Buying process: each organization has a different organizational market purchasing method. Every major acquisition in the government market is subject to sealed bids and tenders. The majority of commercial purchasing is guided by previous interactions with suppliers. Buying organizations: the organizational buying can vary greatly as a result of centralized and decentralized buying methods. The purchasing process will become complicated if sizable purchase committees are engaged. Interpersonal factors: various persons take part in organizational purchasing. They have an impact on the purchasing process because so many people are involved. Authority, interest, and prestige are examples of interpersonal factors. Authority: there are various levels of authority among the organization's staff. The manner in which the organization's staff exercises their authority affects the purchase process and determines whether it is simple, quick, or difficult. Interest: the interests of the individuals participating in the organizational purchasing process vary. While the finance manager may be interested in cheaper prices, The production manager may be more concerned with the quality and consistency of the supply of production input. Status: the interests of the individuals participating in the organizational purchasing process vary. While the finance manager may be interested in cheaper prices, the production manager may be more concerned with the quality and consistency of the supply of production input. Personal factors: individual characteristics including age, education, employment status, risk taking, and personality can have an impact on the purchasing behavior of organizations. Age: age has a direct impact on an organization's purchasing decisions. Younger buyers appreciate establishing relationships with new suppliers, whereas older buyers value keeping those relationships with long standing suppliers. Education: the informed consumer may assess the available options and maintain the buying process. However, an inexperienced buyer is unable to carefully choose the source. As a result, organizational buying is also influenced by buyer education. Job position: how much a person is likely to have an impact on the choice of suppliers depends on where they are in the organizational hierarchy. Both high level and low level buyers may be involved in the transaction. Risk taking: each person approaches risk differently. In this situation, low risk consumers favors working with reputable suppliers, whereas high risk consumers are continuously looking for new sources of supply. Personality: the degree of impact in purchasing decisions is determined by the buyer's personality. It is expected of those with difficult personalities to adapt their brand over time. Some of the consumers also show a lot of brand loyalty. 2.9.4 Process or stages of organizational buying behavior. Stage 1: Problem recognition. The first step, problem recognition, begins with the identification or recognition of a need that can be satisfied by the purchase of an item or service. During this phase of the business purchasing process, a team member identifies a problem that could be solved by purchasing goods or services. Stage 2: General need description. The processing organization defines the general characteristics and quantity of the important items required in this stage of the organizational procurement process after determining a demand. After determining the necessity, buyers should explain it. Once the needs are agreed upon, the buying team develops a detailed specification that describes the quantity, performance, and technical specifications for a product. Stage 3: Supplier search. The buyer is currently attempting to locate the ideal supplier, also called the vendor, to choose providers who meet their needs and have a solid reputation for high quality, dependable partnerships, and reasonable prices. The buyer does a conventional search. The phase of the purchasing process for businesses during which the buyer attempts to identify the best suppliers or providers. Stage 4: Proposal solution. The buyer asks suitable suppliers to submit proposals at this stage of the business procurement process. The fifth stage of the organizational purchasing process is the proposal solution. The buyer now contacts the top providers to get a proposal. Some people respond by sending the organization records or agents. The buyer requires a comprehensive proposal for expensive and sophisticated goods, and the business organization mandates presenting the product itself for technical goods. Stage 5: Supplier selection. The buyer evaluates the proposals at this point and makes a decision. This selection process includes analyzing the vendors under consideration as a crucial component. The selection procedure entails a careful examination of the presented proposals as well as taking into account vendor capabilities, reputation, client preferences, warranties, and other factors. A standard set of criteria may be used by various decision makers to evaluate proposals. The buyer evaluates the proposal at this step of the business procurement process before choosing a provider or suppliers. Stage 6. Order routine specification. At this point in the company purchasing process, the buyer writes a final order to one or more chosen suppliers outlining technical requirements, quantity needed, anticipated delivery date, returns policies, and warranties. The client makes the decisive purchase after choosing the best suppliers. All of the items, such as the qualities of the goods, the specification, the guarantee, the quantity, the time for supply, the mode of payment, the after sale service, etc., should be clearly specified in this order. Stage 7. Performance review. The buyer evaluates his satisfaction with suppliers in this final step of the organizational buying process before deciding whether to keep working with them or to find a new one. The buyer assesses suppliers' performance at this point. Making a decision about whether to change, maintain, or end the relationship with the supplier is aided by this kind of analysis. The partnership may continue if the supplier's performance is adequate. If it is only moderately subpar, the relationship may still be maintained with a partial rectification. However, it is flawed if the performance is offensive. 2.10 Summary. In any business or marketing activity, all internal and external elements that directly or indirectly affect any business organization. While the external influences are out of an organization's control, internal elements are under its control. The external elements include government, technological, economic, social, and competitive forces. However, an organization's strength, shortcomings, and abilities form the component of internal factors. So, the combination of all components that directly or indirectly, internally or externally affect any business organization is called a marketing environment. Whereas, by keeping an eye on the marketing environment, marketers attempt to foresee potential future developments. Marketers are continuing to adjust their strategies and plans in response to these changes. In this chapter, we also discussed about consumer buying behavior and organizational buying behaviors, where consumer buying behaviors are influenced by many factors like individual choice and preferences, economic conditions, group influence, advertising and marketing initiatives, and purchasing power, etc. Although there may be some similarities to household buying when more than one individual is involved in the decision-making process. Organizational buying differs from the consumer buying since the context in which the decisions are made is considerably different. The buying process at an organization might be more formal than drawn out, depending on the sort of purchase being made. The decision-making process typically incorporates more rational than emotional considerations, but because decision makers are human, not all decisions are as reasonable as they may seem. Due to the interdependence of buyers and sellers, long-term relationships that are both advantageous and strategically significant might form. 2.11 Self-assessment questions. What do you mean by marketing environment? Explain the various components of marketing environment that any businessman analyze. How do environmental factors affect marketing policies and strategies? What is marketing mix? Explain the 4 P's of global marketing. Discuss the importance of marketing environmental analysis. Differentiate between micro and macro environment of marketing. What do you understand by dissonance reducing buying behavior? Thanks for listening.